Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Yamuna Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnu Pad Hamsa Parivartakacharya Ashtodhara Shatashi Shamad Swami Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pad Paramhamsa Parivartakacharya Ashtodhara Shatashi Shamad Swami Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Yamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. I'll just need the Bhagavatam, fourth canto as well. The yeah. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we were reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, titled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 30, the activities of the Prachetas. We're on text 8. Okay. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Varam Vrinidvam Badram Bo Yuyam Me Nripa Nandanaha Sauhardena Pritag Dharmas Tushto Ham Sauhridena Vaha Shri Bhagavan Vacha Varam Vinidvam Badram Vo Yuyam Me Nripanandanaha Sahar Dena Pritag Dharmas Tushtoham Sauhridena Vaha Shri Bhagavan Vacha Param Vindvam Badram Bo Yuyam Me Nripanandana Sahar Dena Pritag Dharmas Tushtoham Sauhridena Vaha Shri Bhagavan Vacha Varam Varam Vinidvam Badram Bo Yuyam Me Nripanandana Sauhardena Pritag Dharmas Tushtoham Sauhridena Vaha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Varam benediction, Vrinidvam ask, Badram good fortune, Vaha of you, Yuyam you, Me for me, Nripanandanaha O sons of the king, Sauhradena by friendship, Apritak non-different, Dharmaha occupation, Tushtaha pleased, Aham I, Sauhridena by friendship, Vaha of you. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Try. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. Purport. Since the sons of King Prachanibarishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachanibarishat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they have all different interests. They all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently they cannot be united. This unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There's only one goal: to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benediction to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Prachanibarishat. Om Ganatibadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditamena Tusmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karidvachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitananam Vancha Kapadribishcha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So read the translation again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." Mukunda Goswami, he, in the early days of his becoming a devotee, he was sent to jail for a thing he didn't do, but they were accusing him. It looked like he was having some inappropriate exchanges with a minor, a girl. And also some charges for him kind of selling drugs or something like that, selling drugs. But especially the dealing with a minor, who it was, she was under 21, whatever, 18, 19, something like that, but minor. So he was in jail. And but by that time he met Prabhupada, he met Srila Prabhupada. He was just, coming to Krishna consciousness. He just met Srila Prabhupada, and then. But Mukunda Goswami, he recalls how none of his friends or nobody reached out to him while he was in that state, and but Srila Prabhupada did. He called him. Oh, are you okay? And is everything okay? And so Mukunda Goswami was very surprised and elated, this person, he really cares for me. Was he in jail? Yeah, he was in jail at the time. Prabhupada called him while Mukunda Goswami was in jail. One devotee told me, one senior Prabhupada disciple, he told me that, if you really want to know Srila Prabhupada or have a good idea of Srila Prabhupada, you should read this book, Miracle on 26 2nd Avenue. By Mukunda Goswami. It gives a really good picture Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada, he befriended Mukunda Goswami. That's what really caught Mukunda Goswami's attention and his, captured his heart, how Srila Prabhupada befriended him. It wasn't that Srila Prabhupada was like, okay, I'm a big guru and now surrender to me and then I'll help you be connected to Krishna. But he was actually his friend. Of course, later some of those formalities or some of the guru-disciple formalities came out more and more, but still Srila Prabhupada, even then, Srila Prabhupada was his friend. As Prabhupada writes in the conclusion of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the conclusion words, Srila Prabhupada refers to his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as his dearmost well-wisher and friend. He says friend. Now some may say, okay, well Prabhupada's on a liberated platform, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's on a liberated platform. True. But still, Srila Prabhupada, in practically all cases that we see, he is teaching us how to relate to the spiritual master. Like he would say, and that was his mood. I mean, he was, a perfect disciple. So he was saying, like, for example, all of the glory goes to my spiritual master, as a humble disciple thinks. So in other words, we shouldn't just think, oh, well, Prabhupada's just, he could relate like that because he's Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But Srila Prabhupada is relating as a disciple, as a perfect disciple does to his perfect spiritual master. Which, one of the aspects is, he's my dearmost friend. So in this particular verse and purport, Lord Vishnu, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is very pleased with the Prachetas. And why is that? Because it says here, he says, I'm very much pleased by the friendly relations among you. So, in other words, Krishna is pleased by this. This is something that pleases Krishna when devotees develop friendships with each other. And as was just being mentioned about Srila Prabhupada was expert at befriending people. Like one devotee was saying how when Srila Prabhupada would take his morning walks in Juhu, wherever he was just so surprised how Srila Prabhupada was just so friendly with people, as if he knew them for like like his old friend. When you see an old friend, it's not like you're just seeing some stranger or something that's kind of, it's just kind of stranger. But when you see an old friend, you're happy. You're really extending yourself, and so this devotee was saying that he was just so surprised how Srila Prabhupada would do that with just people here and there. So friendly, befriending people, like he did with Mukunda Goswami and others, which again really captured their heart. And we see from the pages of the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and just from, you could say, more modern history of spiritual movements, and within also the Hare Krishna movement and different movements, this aspect of Krishna consciousness means having friendship is really important, because there's been numerous cases of devotees who were very prominent, very intelligent, very just qualified in so many ways, service, attitude, and doing lots of service for Srila Prabhupada and the movement. But somehow or other, it's not always easy to follow, and for some, it's not always easy. And in other words, difficulties come, struggles come. And unfortunately, some of these prominent devotees, they had difficulties keeping their vows, following the four regulative principles, things like that. And then, interesting enough, it was brought up later. Well, why didn't that person reach out to somebody? You know, because when you're having difficulties, you say, okay, I'm having difficulty. You reach out to somebody. Hey, can you help me? Can you give me some tips? Can you give me, you know, as a friend, please help. And then, or someone may ask the question, okay, well, why didn't he reach out to someone, or why didn't she reach out to someone? And then you could ask the question, well, also, why didn't someone reach out to them? Because maybe, you know, you could sense, at least sometimes, when people are kind of struggling. And then it's been brought up numerous times that trying to answer this question, why didn't they reach out to someone? Why didn't their friends reach out to them? And it came out that, well, they didn't have any friends. In other words, they didn't have any friends to reach out to. And also, because they didn't have any friends to reach out to, it was difficult for friends to reach out to them. You know, it goes both ways. Which, in many cases, by having that friendship, friends are able to help in so many ways. Save us, actually. So, for example, in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very wonderful verse. This is 11th canto, chapter 3, liberation from the illusory energy. Giving us hints of how to do that. Text number 30. So 11.3.30, very important verse. Parasparanu katanam pavanam bhagavad yasha mito ratir matistushtir nivrittir mita atmanaha. So the translation is, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So, by getting together and engaging in the process of Krishna conscious hearing and chanting and spreading the Hare Krishna movement, devotees develop mutual friendship with each other. And by that mutual friendship, they're able to renounce sense gratification, material sense gratification, which is a source of all suffering. So in other words, it's not being advised to close ourselves off. Now, of course, Prahlad Maharaj, he criticizes this. He says, I'm not like one of the yogis going off to the Himalayas for my own liberation. Now, of course, this is Prahlad Maharaj bringing this up. He's speaking about those who are, lusty after their own liberation, mukti-kamis, right? Lusty after their own salvation. Now, of course, devotees closing themselves off to others may not be due to, them trying to, they're not like their salvation is or something, but if we close ourselves off to each other, means we're not open to having a relationship or friendship, then that's also not advised, because Rupa Goswami says, Dadati pritigrinnati guyamaikati prichati bhunkte bhojate cha shadvidhim priti lakshanam. So he says there's 6 loving exchanges in which devotees have with each other. Giving prasad, accepting prasad, giving gifts, accepting gifts, inquiring confidentially, and revealing one's mind, right, confidence. So if we don't engage in those different activities, then it's we're not allowing anybody in. And then someone may say, well, hey, I got my friends. I mean, I got a friend in Calcutta. I got a friend in Croatia. It's like, all right, well, how much are you in Calcutta and how much are you in Croatia? It's like, all right, well, I mean, it's good to have friends in Calcutta and Croatia. It's good to have friends all over, right? It's, you have world family, which devotees have. And then you say, well, hey, there's modern technology. We got Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I could call them whatever I want, text. But, the nature of life, it's, generally speaking, it's not, if someone's on the other side of the world, it's, there may be some talking here and there, but in other words, it's good to have some local camaraderie as well, some local friendship as well. And those, for those in the brahmacharya ashram, it's very important to have that, as it's being stated in the 11th canto here. This is a very important aspect of renouncing material sense gratification, the source of all suffering. Getting together and serving together. And it's important because we're here. I mean, we're here. We're here in the ashram. We're here in SanDiego. We're here in New Govardhan Dham, and we should have some friendship here. And if there's not, then it's very difficult because, again, like I was mentioning the other day, and I've mentioned this a few times recently, because like people, they ask, oh, how do you remain a brahmachari, right, for so many years? And if someone's been a brahmachari for so many years, or householder or sannyasi, they ask, well, how do you do it? So I was saying, oh, you want, people have these different things. Oh, well, you stand on your head and in the morning for 15 minutes. And then you eat pumpkin seeds, right, for breakfast, and roasted pumpkin seeds, and then, right, all these different tricks, right, to be able to stay brahmachari. Or householders, and there's different tricks. But as I was bringing up before, well, the trick, not trick, but the way is to be Krishna conscious, to follow the orders of the spiritual master, but also this aspect, because being here of being brought up here, of friendship. If brahmacharis don't feel they have any friends, it's like, oh, well, I don't got any really friends here, so maybe I should, join the Navy, or go try to find some friends here and there somewhere else, get married. And that's also there in the grihastha ashram. If a husband and wife, they're not feeling like they're friends, then might be thinking, well, maybe I should just look for another, right, husband or wife somewhere. And so on. So this is the way we're actually victorious. This is one of the ways, right? We get together, we engage in the process of devotional service, and we're all moving, right, in the direction of becoming fully Krishna conscious and spreading Krishna conscious as much as we can. So, just like, now someone may say that in the nectar devotion, it's brought up the different relationships one could have with Krishna, right? Now, in the relationship of Sakya Ras, friendship with Krishna, there's different types of friends that Krishna has. It's not that, in other words, they're not all equal. Means they're not all the same age, as Krishna, for age. Not all the same age as Krishna, and so on. There's some friends that are younger than Krishna. And there's some friends that are older than Krishna. And the relationships are different based on that. Like someone who has a younger relationship with or someone who's younger than Krishna, their relationship with Krishna is Krishna has a bit of a protective, right, parental. It's a mix there with this younger friend. And also the younger friend has a bit of a, right, service attitude. So it's a mix, but they're also friends. And then those who are older than Krishna, they have a parental relation, kind of a mix there. Parental rest mix with their Krishna. And Krishna has a service attitude with, so it's a mix there, but they're friends. And then Krishna has equals. So in other words, we could also have that with the devotees. That if you've noticed, it's not that we're all the same, materially speaking, not all the same age, right? And so on. Some are younger, some are older, some are, this, that, different. Because that could also be kind of challenging. So, I'm a new bhakta here, and am I just supposed to, how am I supposed to have friendship here? Or I've been in the ashram for 20 years, and everybody else has been in the ashram for 5 years. How am I supposed to have a friendship here, right? It could be mixed. And the wonderful thing is that we all have a common goal. That's what brings us together, or else we probably wouldn't be together. All of us here with different backgrounds and so on, we probably wouldn't be together. But we have a common goal, so we're together. And the wonderful thing, or one of the wonderful things about this friendship is that it's based on service to the spiritual master, based on service to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. In that it's not based on material sense gratification. For example, in Vrindavan, His Holiness Giriraj Swami was there as young brahmachari many years ago, maybe 76, so maybe 77, and I think it was around 77. And Tamal Krishna Goswami was there also, and they have a close relationship, friends, and Tamal Krishna Goswami asked Giriraj Das Brahmachari to set up the trust for Srila Prabhupada. Different trusts, and so he did that. Giriraj Das Brahmachari went to, I think he had to go all the way to Delhi, and you know how that is, going there and dealing with all the very challenging. So he spent all day doing that, registering this trust. And the trust name is Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust. So then he completed the task, and then he was in his room, taking rest at night, and all of a sudden he hears a knock on the door, and then he's sleeping there. He's saying, "Oh, who could that be?" And he hears a knock. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then he's thinking, "Oh, I think that must be Tamal Krishna Goswami." So no one else could be doing that right now, and that must be him. So then he opens the door. Giriraj Das Brahmachari opens the door, and Tamal Krishna Goswami is there. And he's really upset, and he says, "You blew it. You were supposed to register this trust as Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust, but you registered it as Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust." And he said, tomorrow you have to go back and do the whole thing. So then, so he did that. He went back and he made the change and worked. But His Holiness Giriraj Swami was recalling this incident, and he said he was very happy that Tamal Krishna Goswami came to the door and knocked and told him that. And the reason being was that he was happy because he realized that the central focus of their relationship was Srila Prabhupada's service. And that it wasn't that, Tamal Krishna Goswami, I don't want to say anything because, I don't want to mess up our friendship or something like that. But the basis of the friendship was Srila Prabhupada's service. It's not material sense gratification. So that's an important point too, that the basis of a relationship is service. And we should try to keep that in mind. So in relation to this purport, I'll just end reading this purport. It's a nice purport in the 11th canto, chapter 3, text 30, this verse. Parasparanu katanam. So I'll just read the translation again, and then some of the purport illuminates. So here's the translation. One should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another or quarrel among themselves. Giving up all such mundane feelings, they should gather together and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord for mutual purification. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, see we have Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and we should note that Srila Prabhupada's commentaries, but Bhaktivedanta purports, he's looking at all these commentaries, and he's... this is Srinanda Maharaj, I know that. But just relating to Prabhupada's purports, that he's taking all of these wonderful commentators, and he's adding some of that to his purports, and he's adding his own realization. So it's a whole distillation of nectar. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that glorification of the Supreme Lord is especially potent when performed in the association of pure devotees. My guru was saying one time that he was chanting japa, and he had Radhanath Swami on one side, and then he had Borijan Prabhu on the other side. So I said, this felt the power. And he also gave an example of himself chanting Gayatri in the Yamuna River years ago. And Bibi Govindaswami, we said Bhakti Bringa Govindaswami, was also there chanting Gayatri. So then my spiritual master said he was really, absorbed in the meaning and mantras and really, reciprocation. He had his eyes closed. And then all of a sudden his meditation seemed to kind of break to a degree. Seemed to kind of not, be as strong as it was. So then he opened his eyes, and then he saw Bibi Govindaswamy walking out of the river. And then he realized, it was his association that was helping him. So it's potent in performing the association of pure devotees. When devotees engage in Sankirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord together, they experience the highest transcendental bliss and satisfaction. Thus, they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, which is based on illicit sexual connections with women. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification? Starting today, I shall also give it up." One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them, and to give up sense objects unfavorable to serving Krishna, and one should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service. By engaging the objects of the senses in Krishna's service, one automatically becomes detached from them. And as one passes one's days in the associations of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more through discussions about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one who wants to be free from the harassment of Maya in the form of sense gratification must constantly associate with pure devotees of the Lord who have no engagement other than chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord and carrying out his mission on earth. And then the last point here, Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out that just as one should cultivate friendship with the devotees, one must cultivate a spirit of friendship toward the demigods, who manage the universe on the Lord's behalf. Thus one should live peacefully within this world. So, yeah. All right. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Yes, Bajranath Swami.
Yeah. One may think, as far as friendship, if I reveal my mind what I'm really thinking, if they really get to know me, they won't like me. Or they won't, we all have a public persona. But what do they think about my internal persona? So there may be, or they may ask me to, if I tell them what my problems are and issues, then they may tell me to do something I don't want to do. Or they may be asking me to take a travel to a bridge too far for me.
Yeah.
So better I just kind of stay in my own little world, and I stay, because if they really get to know me, they're not going to like me, or they're going to see where I'm really at, and they're going to ask me to do things to change, and I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah. Well, there's the first thing that came to my mind is that I was thinking that like a boil, for example, a boil is a source of pain. I don't know if anyone's had a boil here before, but have you had a boil? All right. Well, anyways, theoretically, it's a source. It's real, but you can understand theoretically. It's a source of great pain, and in order for that to be removed, I mean, it's also pain when you take cut it out. But like, for example, if I had a boil on my arm, and for some reason I was so freaked out by the pain of getting it cut out, so I just wanted to deal with the pain of having it, and I just always wore a long sleeve kurta, I didn't let anybody see my boil. I go to the doctor. The doctor says, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" "Oh, yeah, I'm doing great," with my long sleeve, kurta, not telling them there's a boil there. Then it's hard to get it removed. So similarly, it says that the sadhus, what's that verse? That by their sharp words, tato dut sangam utsuja. Yeah. It says by the sadhus, by their sharp words, they cut the material attachments, within the heart. So, someone would say, well, if I kind of tell them, what I'm going through, or kind of reveal my mind, then they may ask me to do something I don't want to do. And that may be the case. That may be there. People may feel like that. But ultimately, we have to try to get to the point where we're ready to accept, what they say. That, okay, well, how do I overcome this, or how do I overcome that? And they tell us, and and we just execute it. And in terms of not liking, I mean, Vaishnavas are by nature merciful. That's what it means, Vaishnavas are merciful and tolerant and patient, all that. So they won't not like a person based on their conditioning. They said, don't hate the sin, or don't hate the sinner, hate the sin. Right? Jesus said that. So, of course, the spiritual master, like my spiritual master, I was listening to a Zoom, the days of Zoom these days, but I was listening to a Zoom talk, and it was a Vyasa Puja celebration for him. So it was quite intense, actually. It's like all over the world, and mini sessions, and it was. So one devotee, he was saying to him in his Vyasa Puja offering, he was saying, yes, I left Krishna consciousness, because he left Krishna consciousness for some time. He said, I fell down. I left Krishna consciousness, but he came back, and then he was expressing to His Holiness Guru Swami, but he said, oh, when I came back, you just accepted me. You didn't, you just accepted me, and you didn't reject me. And he was, very moved by that. He was very moved, and so I mean, a devotee he doesn't reject people based on their conditioning, but he just tries to help them. And that was, Prabhupada had so many disciples. Even when Prabhupada was here, and his Leela here, and his pastimes here, they would leave, And Prabhupada was so merciful, he'd give him another chance, give him another, come back. Of course, in some cases there was a disciple, and I'm forgetting his name right now, but I just read it recently, but he came into Prabhupada. It was so difficult, for Prabhupada, it seems, to deal with all that, but he came in, he had a big, grown out beard and, grown out hair, and he was just completely like, I don't know, too many drugs or something, but he was just talking, you couldn't understand what he was saying. I mean, sometimes you meet people like this, like, oh my God, it's just, you don't know what they're saying, they're not clear. So he was saying whatever he was trying to say to Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada said, why don't you just give this up and just shave your head and just join us again? And then, the guy, the devotee kept on saying, the disciple kept on saying this and that, and Prabhupada said, just join us again. Just, okay, whatever you've done, just give it up and join us. And then the disciple just said, I don't want to do that. I didn't come here to do that. Then Prabhupada said, okay, fine, get out then. You should leave. And I think it was Shruta Kirti was telling this pastime, and he was saying, and then someone would say, well, how is that, merciful of Prabhupada saying, oh, get out, just leave. And it is, because the person was offensive. And if he had stayed around longer, maybe just keep on committing more offenses, to the spiritual master. He said, okay, leave. So this way you're not implicating yourself. But anyways, the spiritual master is unlimitedly merciful, and the Vaishnavas trying to follow in the footsteps of such personalities are also merciful. And so anyways, that's what I'd say. I don't know if anybody else has some, I don't know if that really ideas about that, or
I can just first of all, I just want to this verse you quoted is part of this
Tata Duk Sangam Utsuja?
Nine Yugendas?
Oh, this one, this.
Yeah, the
okay.
Pradaspadanika. And I just want to recommend, if anyone's interested, there's a wonderful section here describing the devotional service at 11.3, starting at 11.3.18. And then the verse after that, the first half of it is also something very memorable. He says, Smarantyak smaryantyascha mito gaugaharam hadim. This is the next verse, just that first section. And it says, in this way, by meeting with friendly devotees and and hearing and chanting, one remembers Krishna and reminds oneself, Hare Krishna. One reminding each other of Krishna and remembering Krishna at the same time. And this also applies to preaching outside to new people. And then what does Krishna do on his side? Mito agauga hadam hadim. Hari, or Krishna, he takes away all sinful reactions. In other words, he's responding because he's very pleased with this when we meet together. And when you think about it, the essence of the whole hearing and chanting and enlivening each other is Harinam Sankirtan. That's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, the devotees awaken to pure love of Godhead, and thus even within this material world, their spiritualized bodies exhibit symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, such as standing of the bodily hairs on end. Yeah, the next verse. So, and here in this, like you said, Krishna is pleased, and he gives benedictions, taking all inauspicious things away. In this verse we read today, the 4th canto, chapter 30, text 8, says that because of their mutual friendship with each other and them cooperating, serving the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he came down, right? He's on Garuda too, right? Yeah. He came down on riding the Garuda, and he's asking him right here, now you may ask a benediction of me. So he's saying, you please me, now what do you want? So I'm not sure. We'll see what they ask for. Does anyone remember what they asked for? Anyways, we'll find out soon. Yeah, what did they ask for? What did the Prachetas ask for? So, new car. Yeah. Fancy car. Nice mansion in La Jolla. What did they ask for? So does anybody have any last comments or questions? What is it? Madhusudan Prabhu? Okay. You could be the last man, last devotee. You have to come near to the microphone, Madhusudana Prabhu. We can't hear you. Or maybe you have to unmute yourself. All right, well. It's interesting. I could hear his, ever so slightly, his voice. Okay. All right, there seems to be some technical difficulty, Madhusudana Prabhu, so, yes, well. Grantiraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.